When it comes to scavving on Escape from Tarkov's PVE mode, I don't always say it is the best at all, but in today's video I'm going to showcase how you not only are you going to be able to make a ton of money, but if you're interested in being able to get to grips with one of the best maps in the game for loot, which happens to be Streets of Tarkov, this video is going to show you the exact run that I will do if I was going to start and try and learn Streets as well as make a load of money at the exact same time. Now when it comes to the actual run that I will typically do on my runs on Streets, whether that be on a PMC, which is what I would recommend if you've had a bit of experience playing Tarkov and especially on Streets itself, you don't have to run as a scav, but the whole point around the video is to have it open to anyone of any level of from a very beginner to someone that's more experienced. You can just simply pick whichever character that you want. And so as a scav, obviously you'll spawn all over the map. You don't have aggro from other scavs, which is brilliant if you are trying to learn the map. The only thing you have to really worry about are PMCs, and even if you do pull aggro from some of those PMCs, this map gives you one of the best amounts of XP on or scav rep that you can possibly get in the game, because there's so many scavs and PMCs interacting with one another, and the more scavs that a PMC takes out in the game, it's going to reward you with the most scav rep possible if you take those PMCs out as a scav. And so it's a really good way of not only boosting your cash value on your stash, it's actually a great way of being able to get your scav rep at the same time. We've done a specific video on how you can actually farm that, which I'll link in the description of this video, as to how to farm scav rep the fastest it's ever been, at least on PvE mode. And so with that being said, of course, when it comes to the actual run, we are trying to get to the destination, which is the relaxation room, which comes at the end of the run. This is typically where I will end my run. If not, I will also add on one extra step if I want to go and check it, but it isn't necessarily like the ultimate thing to go and do at the end of your run. But the relaxation room is where you want to be headed for that kind of the ultimate loot at the end, whilst also going and looting up a wide variety of areas. So as you can see, I'm kind of making my way over to the relaxation room key spawn, which does spawn on the map right here. And so this room is essentially just a building you can go to. It's been showcased in a lot of videos that I've done on Streets, and so there's a full breakdown as to how to go to the relaxation room, but this video trying to keep it short and concise. This room, you go in, there's a ton of spawns. I'll leave a link to the wiki if you want to have a look individually at all of the different spawn locations, but you go in this room, you find the relaxation room key. It's worth on the fleet about 300,000 rubles, so instantly you make 300,000 rubles if you just pick up the key and extract with it. Now this room has a ton of spawns. You can get computer spawns in there, which obviously you can get graphics cards out of. You're really looking at, during the run, to just pick up the highest value loot, as well as open as many duffel bags as possible. And so the more duffel bags you're opening, the higher chance of getting some of the best loot in the game. You're going to have more loot when you end the run. And so it's all about kind of stacking up the loot, not just simply running for the key and then just going to the relaxation room. You can do that as a scav, and maybe it's actually worth it if you have a really small backpack as the scav. But talking about the backpack size of a scav, what you can do is at the beginning of any scav on Streets, I would recommend trying to find out a PMC, take them out, grab their backpack, because it's going to be bigger than your scav backpack most of the time, and once you've done that, you can then go and loot far more loot. And it's always worth going and trying chasing down a PMC at the beginning, because not only are you going to get your actual loot, but you'll get their weapons, which means that if you come into contact with any other PMCs during the run, you're going to be far more equipped than you would be normally with just a random scav weapon that you might get. So highly recommend doing that at the beginning of the runs and then getting yourself a bigger backpack. We did it with the smallest backpack. If you don't want to go and engage PMCs and you just want to kind of go in and do it quickly, it really is worth going and getting a bigger backpack unless you spawn with one. So highly recommend doing that. So going in there, you want to pick up as much of the high value loot, going for some of the toolboxes to find some of the higher value stuff, things like motors, that sort of stuff I would actually take out. and you're really trying to min-max the amount of spots that you have on your actual scav itself. Then from there, I will typically go over to construction area where you can extract as a PMC through the collapsed crane. And over there, you've got a couple of technical crates. You also have some duffels in a little hut, as well as a kind of, I guess, jacket that you can check as well for keys and that sort of stuff. Always worth doing. And then in a further hut on the opposite side, you'll also find some duffel bags and toolbox as well, so definitely worth checking those out. From there, I'll kind of go underground, run underneath to the other side of the map. Then I'll check the 2 stores as you come out of the underground, rather than running across the kind of main courtyard area. You can do that. It's safer going down in the underground. PMCs don't typically spawn there. If you've already looted up, you've got the relaxation room key, and you're just simply trying to survive to get to the actual room itself or have the highest chances. And then you kind of come out of there, you'll take the back route. You don't want to go near the Lexos area. You definitely don't want to walk on any of the mines that are over there as well. So you go all the way through the back end. Then I'll typically run over to where you would find the car extract. From there, you can also enter some of the buildings that are directly adjacent. There's quite a few duffel bags that are in there. You can grab those behind the counter, on the sofa. You've also got some duffels that spawn in the room as well, where you also find some potential options of getting things like intel folders. You can go upstairs. I typically don't, because at this point I'm kind of chock full, and with opening up the relaxation room key in just a second after that, we're going to be stacked full of loot and probably not needing anymore. Now once I've done that, I'll go to the relaxation room and we'll kind of open it up. Always check the safe outside of the relaxation room. There is one. It kind of only spawns when you get close. It's weird, but check it. Always end up getting some decent stuff occasionally, and then go inside the room. Once you're in the room, you really have nothing to worry about in terms of PMCs pushing you, etc. In there, you just have a ton of spawns on the chairs, next to the chairs on the floor. You've got them on the actual tables, and typically what you're looking for is those moonshines. Now, every single time you get a moonshine, you've netted yourself about 500k. I think out of the 3 runs that we did to kind of test it in this video, we got one opening where we got 2 moonshines. The others, we didn't actually get any moonshines, but we did get things like whiskey, vodkas, that sort of stuff that do spawn in there, as well as a ton of just rare loot, things like scav figurines. You've got Santa figurines, that sort of stuff that you'll find in there. Pro kills, you'll get yourself golden skulls, you get all sorts, as well as a ton of duffel bags that actually spawn in there as well. And considering that the actual key opening only costs about 150k, even if you only got 1 moonshine in the entire thing, you have netted yourself about 300k in profit, which is amazing. And of course, the reason why you're wanting to go into the actual room itself. So I'd highly recommend, if you have the time and you want to learn streets as well, because this is going to give you a good understanding of how the map actually goes. The overall loot run is just amazing and is going to net you a ton of money at the same time, and as well as getting scav rep, it's just a really good opportunity for people to kind of have the best scav run. I think it is in general one of the best scav runs that you can do. If you find other buildings that you want to enter into, if you get a bigger backpack from taking out PMCs, you can add areas of the map to go and loot as well. If you are feeling ballsy, you can go into Lexos. They do, PMCs will kind of push towards Lexos. That's kind of one of the areas that is kind of high value loot for them. And you go in there, you can find Cabana occasionally. Of course, having higher scav rep than 6 is going to allow the bosses not to aggro you. And then kind of, if I am feeling like I want to, I will go over to the actual kind of shopping mall, which is Plymouth Shopping Mall. And from there, I will always check the rusted key spawn. If that spawns, I will go and open the rusted key. If it doesn't spawn, I will just go upstairs, and usually you can extract in the actual Plymouth Shopping Mall itself. You kind of go upstairs, take a stairway in the kind of front right as you're entering into the shopping mall. You'll be able to go down a staircase and then you can extract there. But primarily we're extracting through sewer manhole, which is pretty much right next to the actual relaxation room. Obviously depends on where you spawn, but I'd highly recommend getting up the actual Tarkov map for streets if you are new to playing streets and you're not entirely sure where the extracts are. But that's something that I will always check and always go through on the loot run. So you're probably thinking in terms of like, yes, okay, we get scav rep, we get all of this, but how much loot do we actually get? Well, that's where this part of the video is going to come in. We're going to check out all of the loot that we did get from 3 openings of relaxation room and 3 runs on streets itself. So if we take a look here, you can see we managed to pick up quite a few moonshines. So we got 3 moonshines, 2 of them in 1 room that we did open, 1 of them from the actual room that you get the relaxation room key from. We got ourselves a graphics card, and we also picked up 3 lots of the actual relaxation room key. So you can see here 2 of those, and then somewhere else in here we've got another one. Things like sugar will typically spawn in all sorts of location, and when they're worth about 160k each, you can make a lot of money from those. Obviously, the main thing when you go into the relaxation room is getting yourself those moonshines, but you can also get like things like these figurines. When it comes to how we did in the actual run, we didn't actually get that many big backpacks when we were doing it, so we were limited on space, but you can definitely add multiple items to the actual items that we got here, but it primarily just trying to min-max how much money we're actually making on all of these runs. So let's break down the actual cost of how much we actually got. I'll go and sell it all, and then we'll come back to you with how much we made from those 3 different runs. So if you're only focused on the money, you'll see exactly how much you make. So in terms of random rare loose loot, we managed to make about 950k. I've kept the pressure gauge because I'm going to hand it in for a task, because that's the only thing I need for that task, but that's about 40k, so about 1 million just off of the rare loot that we sell to just traders. But how much do we make from Ragman himself? So if we go ahead and grab all of the money, so the actual value that we made off of 3 runs of streets was 7.6 million rubles. That's what all of that stuff sold for. We had the graphics card, 1.8 million, 3 moonshines, 670k or something like that, a load of stims, we had a couple of other bits, the rare loot obviously, and all of that added together 7.6 million from 3 runs on a scav, remember, so we weren't able to pick up absolutely everything due to backpack size, and of course an extra bit of money as well from these bits, but obviously BT ammo, we're not going to sell it, we're going to keep it. And so with all of that, 7.6 million divided by 3, you have around about 2.5 million per run. So a really, really good run. It can be maximized even further with playing as a PMC, but as a beginner or someone trying to learn streets, or an experienced player who does play on a PMC, you are going to be able to make varying amounts, but this being like the minimum, and we didn't try and take out PMCs to get bigger backpacks. So with that being said, hopefully this video shows you one of the best, and probably my best recommendation for a scav run that you could possibly do, as it covers all of the areas that you need for a scav. And yeah, if you did enjoy this video, make sure to like the video, check out the video on screen right here, which is going to show you another amazing loot run as well on a PMC that you can do to make a ton of money. And hopefully if you enjoy those, make sure to subscribe to see more videos that will be coming out very, very soon. So with that being said, thank you very much and have a great rest of the day.